They moved their trash cans onto my side of the property line, saying, "It looks better over here." When I moved them back, they pushed them right back. So I reported it as illegal dumping. The day they got a citation and a hefty fine, they screamed, "You're taking this too far." I live in Springfield, Illinois. Quiet street, older neighborhood, mostly retirees and a few families. I've been in my house for almost 10 years now. Bought it after my divorce, fixed it up with my own hands, and kept it simple. I'm not rich, I'm not flashy. I just like my peace and the little routine I've built for myself. Next door lives a couple, Bob and Denise Henderson. They moved in about 2 years ago. Bob's in his mid-50s, retired early, big truck guy. Denise works from home, some kind of online business. We were polite at first. Waves from the driveway, small talk during lawn work, nothing major. Then came the trash cans. It was a random Tuesday morning. I noticed 2 extra bins lined up along my side yard, just inside the property line. Not technically on their driveway, but over the line, clearly my property. Thought maybe the garbage guys put them in the wrong spot, so I dragged them back to the edge of their driveway and didn't think much of it. Next week, they were back. Same spot. I waited until evening, caught Bob in his yard and asked him about it. Me, "Hey Bob, I think your trash bins ended up on my side again." Bob, "Yeah, I put them there. It looks better that way. Cleaner view from our porch." I honestly thought he was joking at first. But no smile. Dead serious. Me, "You put them on my property because it looks better?" Bob, "You've got that strip of grass there, it's kinda wasted space." Thought it made more sense. Me, "It's not public space. That's my side yard." Bob, "Don't be so rigid, man. It's just trash cans. They're not hurting anything." I didn't argue. Just moved them back again. Figured maybe he'd get the message. Spoiler, he didn't. Next week, trash cans were back. Then came a broken-down office chair. Then a big cardboard box filled with packing peanuts. All of it on my side. Like I had my own little landfill starting up right outside my kitchen window. So I went over again. Me, "Hey Bob, we talked about this. You're putting trash on my property." Bob, "They're just sitting there. It's not like it's your living room. Don't be dramatic." Me, "I don't want anything on my side. Period." Bob, "It's temporary. Chill out." So I waited a few days, then moved everything back over the line. Next morning, the stuff was back again, plus a busted cooler and a cracked mop bucket. Like he was testing me. Like it was a game. By now, I was taking pictures. Date and time stamped, GPS locked. I even used one of those property line apps to double-check. According to my deed, my property extends 4.5 feet from the fence. He was at least 2 feet over. This kept going for weeks. I never yelled, never cursed. I just kept moving the stuff back. Every time, it came back again. Sometimes worse. Sometimes more. I even tried talking to Denise once. Me, "Hey, just a heads up, your trash bins keep ending up on my side." Denise laughs, "Oh, that's just Bob. He likes things neat." Me, "Neat doesn't mean putting stuff on someone else's land." Denise, "Well, I guess we just see it differently." No apology. No compromise. Nothing. So I called the city. Not to be a jerk. I just wanted to know what my options were. Explained the situation, sent in the photos, showed the property line data. The city official on the phone was quiet for a second, then said, "If they're putting trash on your land and refusing to move it, that qualifies as illegal dumping." Wait, what? I thought illegal dumping was like tires in a field. Apparently not. Even a residential case counts if it's habitual and on private land. So I filed a report. Didn't tell Bob. Didn't warn him. I just sent everything over and let the system handle it. A week later, code enforcement rolled up while I was watering my plants. 2 officers walked straight over to Bob's place. I couldn't hear much, but I did hear the part where one officer said, "This is not your property." Bob tried to argue. Tried to pull the same, "it looks better" excuse. The officer pointed to the survey data. Showed him the property line. He got cited. $500 fine. They also gave him a written warning that any future dumping on my land would result in escalated fines and possible legal action. That night, Bob stomped up to my front door like a toddler mid-tantrum. "Bob, did you report me?" "Me? Yeah. After weeks of you ignoring me, yeah, I did." "Bob, you're taking this too far." "Me? You were warned." Repeatedly. "Bob, over trash cans?" "Me, over your trash on my land." Simple. He stormed off. Next day, the cans were back on his driveway. Cooler was gone. Chair disappeared. It looked clean, like it had never happened. But I knew it wasn't over. You don't just embarrass a man like Bob without him trying something stupid later. And I was right. So, after the citation, I thought things would cool down. They didn't. For about 2 weeks, Bob stayed quiet. Trash stayed on his side. No bins creeping over the line. No junk furniture magically appearing in my yard. It was peaceful. I let myself believe maybe, just maybe, we'd moved on. Then the little things started. First, I noticed my mailbox had been slightly tilted, like someone bumped into it. Then it happened again, bent even more. I fixed it twice. Third time, I put in a metal post and cemented that sucker into the ground. No more bending. Then came the sprinkler sabotage. I run a basic sprinkler system, cheap setup, nothing fancy. One morning, I walked out and saw that 2 of the heads were busted clean off. Like someone had stomped them. Not a mower, not a car, feet. I replaced them. 2 days later, they were broken again. I checked my security camera. The one over the garage catches part of the front yard, but not the side. It didn't show Bob doing it, but it showed him pacing. Just walking the property line. Over and over. Staring. Next day, I caught him out front. Me. "You break my sprinklers?" Bob. Smirking. "You got a problem. Call the cops again." Me. "You seriously want to go down that road?" Bob. "You're the one that took it there." He walked off before I could say another word. That's when I knew this wasn't about trash anymore. This was about ego. So I bought another camera, one with motion alerts and a better view of the side yard. Mounted it high on the fence facing the line. Set it to record anytime someone stepped into frame. And guess what? 2 nights later, 2:37 a.m., guess who walks onto my side of the line, dressed in black, and starts dragging my trash bin across my yard? Yep, Bob. Next morning, I had a fresh video, clear as day. Sent it to the same city inspector. Added a note. He's back at it. Now in the middle of the night, they opened up a second case. This time, the city wasn't gentle. Another fine. This one steeper. And they added a formal warning that any further violations could lead to legal action. Bob was livid. I heard him yelling at someone on the phone the day after the citation showed up. Something about targeted harassment and idiot neighbors. I didn't care. I had everything on record. But now Denise got involved. She started parking her car just over the line. Literally half a tire on my lawn. Not enough to tow, but enough to be a message. Then she put out these 2 giant concrete planters right on the edge of the line. On my grass. When I tried to move one, she came out yelling, "Denise, that's our property too. You're not the only one who lives here." Me, "It's not your property. I have the line marked." Denise, "That line's wrong." Me, "Then take it up with the city." Again. I didn't touch the planters after that. Instead, I measured from the deed, took photos, and filed a 3rd report. At this point, I think the city guy was sick of us both. But he came out again, looked at the placement, sighed hard, and said, "Yep. Over the line." Another citation. That's 3. Total fines now over $1,000. Bob and Denise stopped talking to me entirely after that. No more smirks. No more yelling. Just pure, silent hatred whenever we crossed paths. You'd think it'd end there. But nope. It got worse. 2 weeks ago, I came home to find a letter taped to my door. No name. No return address. Just a folded piece of printer paper. Inside, typed in big bold font, "You think this is over? You've made an enemy. Watch your back." Not threatening enough to involve the police, but enough to make me uneasy. I installed another camera, this one pointing toward my front porch. I didn't respond. I didn't say a word to them. Just documented everything. Every odd sound. Every weird tire mark in the yard. I even started keeping a log in case I needed to go full legal. And then, last Friday, something new happened. I woke up to the sound of banging, like a hammer on metal. Went outside, and there was Bob, putting up a fence. Not a regular fence. A giant, warped, jagged thing made of random scrap wood, zip ties, and rusted nails. Like some kind of junkyard sculpture. He was putting it on the line. Barely inside his property. I walked over. Me? What is this? Bob, it's art. You like it? Me. You're seriously building a fence out of garbage? Bob, it's reclaimed materials. You can't tell me what to do on my land. Technically, he was right. But man, it was an eyesore. By that night, it was 10 feet long and 6 feet high. Made of old pallets, bent metal, and plastic tarps. Completely blocking my side view. It looked like a homeless encampment built by someone on meth. I emailed the city inspector again. He replied the next day. As long as it's on his property and under 7 feet, we can't do anything. It's ugly, but it's legal. And that's where I'm at now. An enemy next door. A homemade wall of garbage. Tension so thick it makes my coffee taste bitter. No apology. No peace. But I've got a plan. And trust me, this story isn't over yet. So, after the junk fence went up, I tried to ignore it. Honestly. I'm not a petty guy. But seeing that thing every time I looked out my kitchen window started to wear on me. It cast this weird shadow over the yard. One of the tarps would flap all night in the wind and sound like a wounded bird. But then, the twist. It wasn't just a wall. It was hiding something. I found out when the smell started. At first, I thought maybe a raccoon died in the bushes. Then it got stronger, like sour meat baking in the sun. It was worse when the wind blew from the east. I couldn't sit on my back porch anymore. I followed the smell one morning and realized it was coming from the fence. Or behind it. I couldn't see anything. But the odor? Definitely trash. Rotten trash. Not just food, chemicals, maybe paint thinner. Something sharp and wrong. So I waited until night, then checked the camera feed from the side cam. Bob had built a wall to hide a pile of crap. I watched him on the footage. He dragged black trash bags from the garage at night, slipped them behind the fence wall, and left them to rot. Not in bins. Not for pickup. Just a stash. Like he was making a landfill barrier between our houses. Now, this wasn't a trash can situation anymore. This was a health hazard. I called the city again. Told them everything. Sent video proof. This time, they didn't send a code guy, they sent public health. 2 days later, a truck rolled up with 2 inspectors. Full gear. Gloves, masks, clipboards. I stayed out of the way but watched from the driveway. I heard one of them say the phrase, unauthorized refuse containment structure. That's code talk for a legal garbage dump. Bob tried to argue. Again. Said it was his composting project. But they weren't buying it. Not when they opened the bags and saw paint cans, diapers, fast food containers, and something that looked like old carpet soaked in oil. He got hit with a $1,200 fine. And a mandatory removal order. Denise flipped. She was out front screaming at the inspector while Bob stood there like a statue. It was the first time I'd seen her actually lose it. That night, they took the wall down. But that's not the twist. The real twist came the next morning. When I stepped outside, there was a for sale sign in their yard. No joke. They were moving. I thought, holy crap. That actually did it. They've had enough. But I was wrong. They weren't leaving. They were selling, to their son. Turns out, Bob and Denise have an adult son who's been living out of state. Total ghost. I'd never met him. Never heard them mention him. But apparently, he'd been planning to move back to Springfield. And Bob? Well, he thought, hey, let's keep the house in the family. You can buy it. We'll move next door and you can keep the fight going. Yep. The plan was for Bob and Denise to buy the house behind mine. Their son would move into their current one. So I wouldn't be getting rid of them, I'd be getting two of them. Bob behind me. Bob Jr. next to me. And here's where it gets really fun. About a week after the sign went up, Bob Jr. shows up for a visit. I'm trimming the hedges. He walks over. Tall guy, mid-30s. Tank top, sunglasses, gym shorts, loud voice. Classic, bro, energy. Bob Jr. Hey, you must be the trash guy. Me, sorry. Bob Jr., you know. The guy who calls the city about trash. That's your thing, right? Me, I call when people dump crap on my lawn. You planning to do that too? Bob Jr., relax, man. I'm just saying, it's a yard, not a museum. Me, and it's mine. That's the difference. He walked off laughing. But I knew this wasn't over. It was just changing shape. Then, a few days later, I noticed something weird. One of my motion cameras stopped working. I checked the footage. Everything fine at 2:17 a.m. Then black. No video. The camera had been manually turned. Someone physically reached up and twisted it to face the wall. I climbed the ladder to fix it and found fresh fingerprints on the side. Greasy. Like someone with motor oil on their hands had grabbed it. Not Denise. Not Bob. That was Bob Jr. I didn't confront them. I called the cops. Filed a report for trespassing and tampering with private property. Told the officer everything. Gave him the footage gap. The fingerprints. Even offered to run a print match if anything escalated. The officer was polite. Wrote everything down. Said, honestly, it might be time to talk to a lawyer. And maybe he's right. Because just this morning, I found new trash behind my fence. Same spot as before. 2 black bags. No name. No prints. Just trash. Again. I'm building a case. But Bob's playing a longer game. And if they think I'm backing down now, they've seriously underestimated me. After the cops came and filed the report for the camera tampering, things got quiet again. But I wasn't fooled this time. The kind of quiet that comes before a storm isn't peace, it's prep time for war. I started preparing too. I hired a lawyer. Found a local guy who deals with property disputes and neighbor harassment. Told him everything, every picture, every report, every citation. Gave him a whole folder. He said, you've got enough for a harassment suit and possibly even an injunction if it escalates again. You want to go that far? I told him yes. But I didn't have to wait long. Because Bob Jr. was the type who always pushed things one step too far. The final straw came 2 weeks later. It was a Sunday night. I had just finished dinner when I heard a pop outside. Loud enough to shake the windows. I rushed out the front door and saw flames. My mailbox was on fire. Yes! They lit my damn mailbox on fire. A neighbor across the street saw the whole thing, said a tall guy in a hoodie ran up, poured something on it and lit it. The guy ran back toward Bob's house. I called 911 immediately. Fire department came fast and put it out. Mailbox was toast. Lawn was singed. Whole side of my front fence was blackened. But that wasn't all. Because what Bob Jr. didn't know was that I had recently upgraded the security cameras. One hidden in the mailbox post. Another facing the street. And both of them got a perfect look at his face. The fire? That turned everything criminal. I turned over all the footage to the police. They opened a case. They arrested Bob Jr. within 24 hours. He was charged with arson, vandalism, and destruction of private property. Got taken in wearing flip-flops and gym shorts. I stood on my porch and watched as they cuffed him. But it didn't stop there. When they searched Bob and Denise's house, still technically theirs, they found several other items tied to past vandalism reports in the neighborhood, spray paint, broken mailboxes, even someone's stolen garden gnome. This wasn't just a feud anymore. This was a pattern. They got hit with multiple charges. Now here's where I admit my own mistake. I let this feud take over my life. I got so caught up in defending my property, so obsessed with winning, that I forgot to actually live. I became someone who stared at fences. Who read motion alerts like love letters. I let their garbage turn me into garbage. I skipped birthdays, ignored invites, turned down weekends with my niece because I had to keep an eye on things. I let them control me until they lost everything. After Bob Jr.'s arrest, the city slapped a lien on the property for unpaid fines. Turns out, Bob and Denise hadn't paid any of their tickets. Not the illegal dumping, not the wall, nothing. They were in over $6,000 in debt to the city. The bank stepped in. The house was seized and foreclosed. They were evicted by the county sheriff. Bob and Denise had to leave in a moving truck, humiliated, as neighbors filmed on their phones. Denise screamed about how he ruined us, and we just wanted peace. But it was too late. They were out. Bob Jr. pled guilty, took a plea deal, got probation and mandatory anger management. And he can't come within 100 feet of me or my property. Ever again. Now, the best part? I bought their house. Yeah, that's right. I bought it at auction. Got it dirt cheap. Not to live in. Not to rent. Just to make a point. First thing I did? Bulldoze that entire fence. Tore down every single tarp, pallet, and scrap. Planted new grass. Had the whole yard cleaned up by a landscaping company. It's beautiful now. Peaceful. Quiet. No more garbage. No more yelling. No more games. Just a reminder of what happens when people think they can do whatever they want and hide behind. It's not a big deal. And me? I learned to let go. I planted flowers where the junk wall used to be. I go to family dinners again. I turned off the motion alerts. I sleep without a baseball bat under the bed. Because revenge felt good, but peace feels better. Still, every time I see that fresh green grass where their wall used to stand, I smile a little. Sometimes the trash takes itself out.